We are just 5 hours shy of the launch of Space Shuttle Discovery on its STS-124 mission to the International Space Station. Discovery is scheduled to do a 14-day mission to the International Space Station, and we have the ability to stay docked for at least going into launch an extra day if needed. That still gives us 2 weather wave off days if we're not able to come down on June 14th, Saturday morning, to end the flight. Launch controllers are not working any problems right now that would prevent us from lifting off at 5:02 p.m. Easterns. And we're getting very close to getting video inside the operations and checkup building. In fact, we're so close we're here. There's the STS-124 crew suiting up. It's Commander Mark Kelly. And his pilot, Ken Ham. That's our lead spacewalker for this mission, Mike Fossum. He's had one flight before, with Mark Kelly on the STS-121 mission last. There's Greg Shamatoff talking to Mark Kelly's brother. You're not seeing double. He does have a twin, and Mark's flying. And Scott flew last year on the STS-118 mission. Greg will be getting a lot of thumbs up because he'll be spending the next 6 months or so on the International Space Station. He's going to be replacing Garrett Reisman. Aki Hoshide. This is Hoshide's first flight into space. He was born in Tokyo, Japan, but did spend 4 years here in the United States. It's Dr. Karen Nyberg. She'll be making her first flight on this mission. And finally, we have Ron Guerin, also making his first flight. He's a colonel in the U.S. Air Force, and he's one of our mission specialists. And we've got the STS-124 Discovery crew walking their way down.
You can see Commander Mark Kelly and pilot Ken Ham leading the way. Greg Shamatoff, our station astronaut, who's going to be switching out. And also Chief of our office, Steve Lindsay. Brent Jett, who's the lead of the Flight Crew Operations Division. And the other gentleman in the blue suit there is Jerry Ross, one of our veteran astronauts and the lead of the Vehicle Integration Test Team office. You can see the crowd of employees from KSC there that will meet him.
You get my message? Okay.
I've been told many astronauts have actually said that doing what we just saw right now, when you line up there and head into the Astrovan, really that brings it home that you're really actually about ready to launch. This is it's for real.
And the crew's beginning to exit the Astrovan, taking their, you can see their helmet bags that they're carrying over towards the elevator. There we can see them stepping out at ground level at the pad from a little ways away. And they're going to take a look up at their soon to be their ride into space, Discovery.
And they're home for the next 2 weeks.
That's right. There you can see Mark as he's climbing in. You can see that's his seat in front of him, so he'll be laying on his back as he climbs in. Kind of an awkward thing. Here he has to grab some handholds that are up above and get his feet in around the stick, which is covered by a red box there. You can see the the rotational hand controller, as it's referred to. And you can see in his seat behind him, the orange is the parachute that he will then attach to his harness. If they did have to egress the vehicle, may end up taking that with him, most likely. And if they're just egressing on the ground, obviously, if you're bailing out, you'll definitely be taking that with you.
Yes.
And using it. And there you can see Greg climbing into the furthest seat over to the starboard side, the right side of the middeck. Ray Cuevas, number 7, in the white suit there, is helping Greg to strap in. And here we can see Mark Kelly now getting his helmet put on. You can see Kay kind of behind and below him. And John Hazelhurst, just to Mark's right. They're both going to help him to make sure he gets that helmet on with a good seal, doesn't trap any kind of fabric or any other part of the suit in there. You can see Ken Ham now climbing up into his pilot's seat. View looking across the cockpit from the right side. I would imagine the crew looks forward to getting their cooling hooked up, because that's a fairly strenuous maneuver there, getting yourself pulled up into that seat with an extra 100 pounds or more on your body and a constrained environment. So
you're in the sun.
You're in the sun, and they've been off cooling since they left the Astrovan. So they're probably starting to get a little warm. Mike Fossum climbing in on the middeck and about to join Greg Shamatov, who's got his helmet and gloves on now. Hey, there's Aki pointing to our patch. Proud peacock. Excellent.
He knew you were watching.
Well, we're very proud of him. He's a great friend to all of us, and we're just excited to see him get to fulfill his dream. He was selected by the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency in 1999, and then joined our NASA class in 2004, along with Satoshi and Naoko. So Aki's waited quite a while for this, and we're really excited to see him get this opportunity.
NOTC of ECC, MS4 on board 15 seconds ago.
Copy. And OTC.
Go ahead.
Can you verify 677?
Complete.
Thank you.
OTC?
OTC go.
TBC. TBC is go. TTC. TTC is go. LPS. LPS go. Houston flight.
Houston flight is go.
Milo.
Milo go.
STM. STM is go. Safety console.
Safety consoles go.
SPE. SPE is go. LRD. LRD is go. SRO. SRO is go. You have range clear to launch. And CDR. CDR is go. And Launch Director NTD, our launch team is ready to proceed at this time. Okay, cover that, Jeff, thanks. Chief Processing Engineer, verify no constraints to launch. Mike, the engineering team is ready to go. Okay, thank you, Charlie. KC Safety Mission Assurance. KC and Safety Mission Assurance is go, Mike. Thank you, Mark. Payload Launch Manager. Space Station team is ready to go, Mike. Good, thanks, Bill. Range Weather.
Weather has no constraints to launch.
Very good, Kathy. And Ops Manager. Let's see, Launch Director, Ops Manager on 212. Mike, the MMT is not working any issues. You are go to launch. Okay, thanks, Leroy. Discovery Launch Director. Go ahead. Okay, Mark, it's a gorgeous day to launch, so on behalf of the KSC launch and processing teams, I'd like to wish you good luck, Godspeed, as you deliver the next piece of Kibo to the International Space Station.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. You're right. We're going to deliver Kibo or Hope to the space station. And while we all tend to live for today, the discovery from Kibo will certainly offer hope for tomorrow. Minasan arigato, ite kimasu. Now stand by for the greatest show on Earth.
Thank you, sir. NTD, with that, you are clear to launch Discovery. Copy that. Thank you, sir.
TLS is go for orbiter access arm retract.
Discovery OTC, best of luck delivering the GM module to the International Space Station.
Discovery copies. Thank you, Teresa.
The go has been given to retract the orbiter access arm. This is the walkway that the crew uses to get inside and outside of Discovery. And if the need arose, we could move it back into position within a few seconds.
PLT, perform APU pre-start.
And that should work.
Final test of the flight control surfaces being done with a pre-programmed pattern of movements designed to verify the engines and other flight surfaces are ready. It includes moving the three-man engines, and that's how Discovery steers its way in orbit. Top of the external fuel tank, known as the beanie cap, being removed at this time.
PLT, cautionary warning, memory clear is complete with no unexpected errors.
Copy. Discovery, close and lock your visors and initiate O2 flow.
Discovery and work.
TLS is go for ET LH2 pressurization.
Coming up on go for auto sequence start. The computers on board Discovery control the spacecraft.
TLS is go for auto sequence start.
25,
T-minus 25 seconds and counting.
20,
T-minus 15 seconds and counting.
10,
10 seconds. We have go for main engine start. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff of Shuttle Discovery. Combate Kudasai. Best of luck to the International Space Station's newest laboratory.
Houston, Discovery, roll program.
Roger, roll, Discovery. Houston now controlling the flight of Discovery, a man-made rising sun on behalf of Japan. Discovery on the proper alignment, heads down, wings level for the 8.5-minute ride to orbit. 4.5 million pounds of hardware and humans taking aim on the International Space Station. Seconds into the flight, the three liquid fuel main engines now throttling back to 72% of rated performance, going in the bucket, reducing the stress on the shuttle as it goes supersonic. Discovery already 5 miles in altitude, 8.5 miles downrange, traveling almost 1,000 miles an hour.
Discovery Houston, go at throttle up.
Roger, go throttle up.
Throttle up call acknowledged by Commander Mark Kelly, joined on the flight deck by pilot Ken Ham, flight engineer Ron Guerin, and mission specialist Karen Nyberg. Down on the middeck are Mike Fossum, Aki Hoshide, and Greg Shamatov, heading for a half year on the International Space Station. One minute, 45 seconds into the flight. Discovery 22 miles in altitude, 23 miles downrange, standing by for solid rocket booster separation.
Copy staging.
Booster officer confirms staging, a good solid rocket booster separation. Guidance now converging. The onboard computer steering the shuttle for the on-ramp to the highway for the International Space Station. Discovery 37 miles in altitude, 50 miles downrange, traveling 3,200 miles an hour. The orbital maneuvering system engines have ignited, providing Discovery with a burst of power for the next 2 minutes 15 seconds.
Roger, 2-engine Maroon.
That call from Mark Kelly, the first of a series of performance calls in the event of the loss of a main engine. However, all 3 main engines continue to perform normally, along with the auxiliary power units and the 3 power-producing fuel cells. Discovery flying on the singular power of its 3 liquid fuel main engines, draining a half a ton of fuel per second from the large fuel tank. Discovery 52 miles in altitude, 100 miles downrange, 3.5 minutes into the flight. We're coming up on the point of negative return, where the shuttle would be too far downrange, too high in altitude to return to the launch site in the event of an engine failure. All 3 main engines continue to function normally, however. 3 minutes, 47 seconds into the flight. Discovery flying straight and true, speeding toward a date with the International Space Station on Monday.
Discovery Houston, negative return.
Roger, negative return.
All of Discovery's systems in great shape. 4 minutes, 15 seconds into the flight. Discovery 62 miles in altitude, picking up speed, 170 miles downrange, traveling 5,300 miles an hour. The Environmental Systems Officer reports the activation of the flash evaporator system, providing cooling for Discovery's avionics and other systems until the time that the payload bay doors are open an hour and a half into the flight. 4 minutes, 40 seconds into the mission. All the main engines right down the money, in good shape, good performance, good auxiliary power units, good fuel cells. Discovery traveling 6,000 miles an hour, 66 miles in altitude, 230 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center. Five minutes into the flight, 3.5 minutes of powered flight remaining. Very quiet here in the flight control room.
Discovery Houston, press to ATO, select Istris.
Roger, press to ATO, we'll select Istris.
That call acknowledged by Commander Mark Kelly, indicating that in the event of a loss of a main engine, we could still make our abort to orbit targets. However, all 3 main engines continue to function normally. The orbiter will soon begin to roll to a heads-up position. Now beginning that roll to heads-up, the main engine's now swiveling. The shuttle rolling to its position above the fuel tank, gaining more favorable communications to the tracking and data relay satellite system as it heads uphill. 6 minutes, 15 seconds into the flight, Discovery traveling almost 10,000 miles an hour, 397 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center.
Istris 104. Your shutdown plan is nominal, and your go for the plus X, go for the pitch.
Copy that, Terry. Copy the boundary. Nominal shutdown plan. Go for the plus X, go for the pitch.
Good readback, and you are pressed to MECO.
Roger, press to MECO.
Press to main engine cutoff call by Commander Mark Kelly, indicating should we lose a main engine, we can still make our nominal main engine cutoff targets. However, all 3 main engines hang in perfectly, as well as the auxiliary power units and the fuel cells at the 7-minute mark into the flight. Discovery now 515 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, traveling 11,000 miles an hour. Very soon, the main engines will once again be throttled down to limit the stress on the shuttle and its 7 crew members to that of 3 times the effective gravity.
Houston, single engine press 104.
Roger, single engine press 104.
At the time of main engine cutoff, a little more than a minute from now, Discovery will enter its preliminary orbit at a speed of 5 miles a second. Discovery 615 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, looking great. Engines now throttling back. Less than a minute of powered flight remaining for Discovery. Traveling 14,000 miles an hour, almost 700 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center. Discovery passing 23,000 feet per second at the 8-minute mark into the flight. A flawless ascent so far for the orbiter. Standing by for main engine cutoff. That'll be followed a few seconds later by the separation of the external fuel tank. Booster officer confirms main engine cutoff, standing by for external tank separation. External tank separation confirmed. Discovery now in its preliminary orbit. The centerpiece of Japanese space science, Kibo, completing the first leg of its journey to the International Space Station.